Hello, everyone, and welcome, of course, to Heads and Dovetails with myself, Jill Harvey-Bush, and as I always say, the lovely Jamie Hubbard. And it's a Friday morning, Jamie. We're recording this on a Friday, very wet morning, except I can see a little bit of blue sky. What's it like where you are? And how are you this week?
I'll be honest, I've not looked outside yet. I'm too
Oh,
scared. I'm too scared. It'll be grey. It'll be grey. There was rumour around that there was a bit of blue sky around yesterday, but I didn't see any of it.
no,
I
we
just
didn't
saw
see
grey.
any. I was up at sort of 10 to 6. It absolutely threw it down. I mean, so much so I thought, was it coming through the windows moment? Because I go off to
Yeah,
Sainsbury's and I've waited. It was one of those, even getting to the car, I'd have been soaked, on the
yeah.
drive. So I just waited till that passed and then chasing my tail because we're recording a little bit earlier than normal. So, and then of course the traffic is one of those, but I'm just going to go for half an hour with you. We're going to touch on the subject that keeps coming up, and I'm not talking President Trump here or anything else political, but AI. You wanted to talk
Yeah.
about AI because we'd seen
I,
a couple of videos and
right. So I think I mentioned it on the podcast
Mhm.
a few ago that I did get the AI to help me do my daughter's my speech as a father daughter got married. Father of the Bride speech.
That was in the chat GPT as it was then, which is now
Yes,
redundant and moved
which I'm
on.
still using.
Oh, they
And
say they're about to cut it, so you have to go to AI now. Chat GPT is going to be gone.
is it?
Yes, it'll be AI.
Well, look,
I don't even know how
I
to
don't
use
know.
that, so
I can't keep up with it. What
yeah.
so I've been using it, and um it's it's really I'm finding it really helpful. I'm finding it really helpful because I'm a one-man band in a workshop on my own, need to do things, and when I hear of people that say they've got a business and there's a husband and wife, or two guys started this business,
Mm.
they've got somebody to fire things off. They've got somebody to have a quick chat about this. With me, the difference can be mean that with some decisions that could be 6 weeks for me to totally get into it. I mean, I suppose I could, and I used to when I was building boats. I used to sit there and do a pros and cons
Hmm.
sheet, which I haven't done one for years. I don't know why I don't do it. I know why I don't do it now. I use ChatGPT. So yes, it's learning about you a bit because you give it to. So I've started using it in a way where if I do something and chat about something with it and get an answer, if I then don't use it for a bit or use it for something else, I'll start a new project sort of thing with it. But if in a few weeks' time that thing that I've already discussed with it comes up again, I'll go back to it and say, right, this is 5 weeks later, and such has happened, and this has happened. And then it'll go, right, okay. And I'm I'm pretty sure it remembers what it said in that chat, or it's
Hmm.
had a quick flick through what it said in that chat. So I used it on my videos for a bit at the beginning in some of the parts of my videos to do the description, to do some of the like hashtags which are behind, which nobody really sees, the sort of paperwork behind the document, the file. And it was doing okay for a bit, and then it started getting a bit not so good. And I did a video last week where I said to it, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm going to put it out on a Friday night rather than a Sunday night. And it said, and it gave me all this information about doing it Friday night. Well, and I was just like, why didn't you just tell me this? Why didn't you just tell me before that actually, Jamie, Sunday night isn't the best time to do it. Friday night will probably do you better. The difference it's made is huge. All my videos have gone mad, which is great because I was on like £3 a day, £2 a day, which I have to look at. I don't just do it for the money, but I have to look at that because if it's giving me, I mean, it's never done it, but if it gives me, say, £30 a day for a month, oh, blimey, that changes everything. But it
Hmm.
doesn't. It's low. It's £2, £3. Sometimes
Hmm.
it goes up to a 4 or 5. But what I'm now using it for is I'm seeing it as it feeds off your input. So if you go in there negatively, it's going to give you that sort of rubbish back because that's how you're not treating it, but if you're feeding it that negativity. So if you're quite positive, but say a little bit shy like I am, I think that now I'm using it as a tool, telling it what I basically want to say to somebody. What do you think of and it's giving me a better version. I've said this before, a better version. And Jill was like, you can't shouldn't say better. It's putting it the way a well-educated, well-educated, well-spoken Jamie Hubbard would do. And I've been talking to somebody who's a little bit ill, and I was just like, I don't know where to go with this. I don't know about that. And it said, don't discuss this, don't discuss that, do that. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty good. I didn't just copy and paste what I wanted to say. I actually edited down a bit and took a couple of words and changed it because which made it more like me. But what the part I'm trying to say that as a tool is I'm learning, I think I'm learning to better communicate through the written word,
Mm.
um, and look a bit more, I'm not going to say professional. It's far more eloquent than I am.
I mean, for me, as you know, I see there are positive benefits to AI in terms of medical stuff and a whole load of stuff that it's doing in that area. But for me, my fear is it's dumbing us down. As you're saying, it's making you a more eloquent and more this, but actually, that's not the real you, if you know what I mean.
You're right.
So I think while we're doing all of this, it's really sad that we're not then communicating with individuals. So actually, we're getting somebody else to communicate for us, and it's dumbing us down further because I've got people who just wham everything in there now
Yeah.
and just use it. So as much as you're saying, well, I'm being selective, and a lot of people aren't, Jamie.
No.
And
No.
also there's, I think for me, it's also the environmental thing with hundreds of people making videos now using AI. And I just think if you could see the amount of energy and
And the water.
servers and vast buildings that are
Yeah.
having to be
Yeah.
built excuse me, to actually just so you can make a funny cat video or a bear chasing somebody down the road type video, or I just think this is bonkers. It's dumbing us down. And when you are hearing that people are now preferring to talk to their AI friend and
Yeah.
admitting, I prefer to talk to my AI friend because they understand me. And we're actually not learning, as much as you say it's communication, you learn communication in one way. Actually, we're not learning to communicate with each other. We're learning to communicate via machines,
Yeah. I
which
get
isn't
that.
us, which isn't our personality. I mean, even in the music world, I talk to people and they're really kind of, what do we do? And Clive will say, I'm not using AI. But then you
Yeah.
talk to people who are producing music, who are having to keep up. And of course, if it's their living, and they admit that they put a whole load of stuff into AI, they listen to loads of bits of music back, and then it comes up with a piece of music. They go, I could never have thought of that. Well, I can just tweak that a little bit. That's great for my basic.
Yeah.
I will tweak it a little bit. But they admit they would never have come up with that. But of course, then that piece of music goes out, becomes a hit. So it forces other people. I don't know. I mean, technology moves so fast, doesn't it? As we're saying,
Yeah.
one minute you've got ChatGPT. I haven't even really learned how to do that. And now we're on to, no, ChatGPT is old hat. Now we're on to AI. And I think a couple of things. The video that I posted to you was one of the weavers. She lives in, I think, Canada or America. And she had posted about AI, saying a friend had sent her this video of saying, oh, look at this person making baskets and aren't they wonderful? And, look how great they are.
Oh, yes. I remember you said yes.
Yes. And saying how great they were. And look, they're really neat and this, that, and everything else. And then she realized that what she was watching wasn't a weaver, it was AI making a perfect basket. Well, of course, as weavers, when you're working, you'll know being a woodworker, when you're working with natural wood, etc., it's never going to be the same. It won't
No.
be perfect, perfect in that respect. And her concern was that this person believed now these were the sorts of baskets we were
Wow.
making,
Yeah.
and where could she buy them? So you're kind of going, whoa. And her concern was now people are going to see these perfect, and when I saw it, they're going to see these perfect baskets or whatever that's being made, for example, out of willow, or in your world being made out of wood, and think that's possible, not realizing this was an AI, made up human
Yeah. Yeah.
weaving. And I think that's a big concern that people then start to see this and think, oh, that's what it really looks like, not realizing, and she made it pretty quickly, this AI person, and why are they so expensive? And look, this is perfect. Well, yours isn't perfect. Why am I buying yours when this person over here? And I got caught this week, as much as you say, Sophie, who I did the podcast with and released on driving this week, and we talked about the highway code, and I in there had said, "Oh, is there a highway code book?" And Sophie said, "Oh, actually, everything's all online, of course, nowadays." I said, "No, I want a book that I can go out with, and I can sit and flick through." And she said, "Oh, I don't know." And then she did a post sitting in the car as a driving instructor, holding a highway code. And I immediately commented and went, yay. I messaged her and went, yay. So the highway code books exist. And she came straight back and said, I've no idea, Jill. I got AI to create that image.
Oh.
So that's when I
Oh.
kind of went, and that was this week, Jamie, when I went, oh, goodness. I didn't, it wasn't quite so
No.
polite. But she said, you didn't realize that was created by AI. And then somebody else I thought I'd comment on, oh no, Jill, that's not me, that's AI. I think before Christmas, all the women there were pictures coming up of women in sparkly dresses holding a lollipop, looking amazing. And then I realized, hang on a minute, here's another one, and here's another one. And they were all created in AI. And I was just like, this is what frightens me, Jamie, because of the expectation
Yeah.
then it puts on people to be even more perfect. You know what I mean? That then the pressure is coming on. It'd be like for woodworking, somebody makes something, AI, I mean, you can watch them make it and everything, but it's not, and it'll be perfect, but it's made by AI. No,
But it isn't made. It's a
correct,
video of it. There is no product.
correct.
That's the
But people
problem. There is
believe
no
there is the
product.
product. And of course, there are websites that are AI now websites. So you kind of go, I don't
You
know
see,
what's real anymore. How do we sell stuff? How does anybody, any creator, you talk to a musician, and as much as Clive and I have the discussion, if he was still really having to earn a living from it, he would actually end up being forced into using AI. Because if everybody else was making great music and then you can have the backing tracks and you don't know what's plugged in, people, in the old days you used to do looping and build up the track so it's one person playing, but you'd loop it. Well, now, of course, you can just get AI to do it. So, if you're the musician not earning any money and this musician up here is earning loads of money using AI, what are you forced to do? And I'm having that discussion with quite a few people at the moment. And there are businesses saying, I'm getting left behind. I need to get on AI and see how to run my business better. But it's dumbing us down. And what's the next generation going to be like? And then the next generation, when actually we don't have to think. We're already showing changes in neuroplasticity in kids because of smartphones.
I heard yesterday there was a couple of things on or in the last couple of days that children are touching pictures in books with their
Open
fingers
them up.
to
Yeah.
try and open them
And the
and
research is
expand them.
showing that children who have access to smartphones, etc., under the age of 13, I think that was this week, if I'm correct, 'cause I've read so much research as well in between everything else, are
Yeah,
now shown to be far more depressed, far more anxious, far more
yeah.
unable to cope when they get to their teenage years. And I just think, wow. So I very am much, the under 16 should not have access to smartphones.
No, No, I think things will go the right way. I think it's going to be that middle ground. It's either going to be, or it's going to be the people on much lower incomes that just hit that button, do something right, and something works for them. But that's going to be like a lottery win, isn't it? That's going to be a lot of people not getting very far, and
Yeah.
one person might get further. I've found now that um, Chat GPT can't do good enough photos for me. I can ask it for an idea, and I'll get it to describe it, which takes up less
Less time,
less of the yes, less time, but also less broadband, whatever
bandwidth.
you
Yeah,
want to call it,
okay.
bandwidth, whatever, um, by just describing something to me. But even those are rubbish. Even those are rubbish now. So I've decided I don't want them because I think I've got to be as
Authentic.
for me. I mean, there's 17,000 subscribers. I've got
Hmm.
to be real with the photos. I don't think I haven't used I've used one photo of AI, and that was the one where I got a hand with coffee beans in it, and it saved me 2.5 hours of driving around and whatever and getting some coffee beans off Chloe, and it saved me. So that was a genuine one, but that was my background, my
Mm.
hand with a briquette in one, and it put another hand with, and that's it.
But you see how with people you can mix the
It,
photos. So we don't know,
yeah,
like Soph did with holding the highway code, but you don't know then. I know that's her. Well, I think it's her, and then you now I start questioning, is that real or is that AI? Whereas people were saying you had to declare if you
I
were
know,
using AI, people don't now. They don't declare on their thumbnails
no, I
AI's
mean,
been
if you,
used, on their photos
but why wouldn't
AI's
you
been
do
used
that?
because it's becoming so common, nobody's bothering now.
When I put a video on, it asks me about if I've used any
Hmm.
AI in the video, and I would tick the box if I have, and I don't because I can't do AI video, Instagram or whatever. But even on Instagram, I think I'd like to, well, I would. I'm
Tick
genuine enough to
AI.
go in the description. This isn't me holding a book on so and so. I've actually generated because I think that sort of we need to show. I think we need to tell people, but I wouldn't try and. I'm not saying Sophie was trying to fool
No, it's
people,
not just
but
her. I mean, there's loads. Obviously, there was
ah,
this, there's loads, and the
yeah, there's
point
loads.
being,
There's
as I was
loads.
saying, so the point being, I don't know now which ones are real and which ones aren't. There's another
I
friend
know.
that's on the United follow, and it's the same. I'm now going, some of her photos I know are AI, only because I've asked her, and others, but I can't tell the difference whether in them. The other side of this, I think, is also the world, we're moving at such a pace, as we say, the world is so much faster than it ever used to be. But actually, what we're
Yeah,
doing by using AI is exactly, oh, that's going to save me time. So we're speeding it up even more.
I get it. So I think I'm coming out of the other side of the Chat GPT now. So I did say, and I started talking about it. We started chatting about it. The I've used it to discuss
Mm,
some health issues with this person. So because I didn't want
yeah.
to say the wrong thing, because I'm a bloke, and
Nah, and
you
you
know
can
what
also be
blokes can be
good. I
like,
know some
Jill.
very good coaches, and they're all males.
Uh,
And
but it's made me look at me a little bit better, and I'm thinking actually, and I think with if it's a tool and it's helping you, I think yes. If it's if you're just doing it for money, I think you'll
well, I,
something's gonna, I think
I
something's
think
gonna
it's
go
both.
wrong
I
at some
still
point.
think if you're using it, it's helping you, but you're not actually learning because it's quicker, then we're still dumbing down.
Yeah,
I get you saying if you really are learning something, but most people aren't. They just stick it into AI and they're
no,
not
no, no.
learning.
The majority aren't.
So actually, our brains have dumbed down. Our attention spans are rubbish because we're so used to whiz, 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 whiz. And program I saw this week, I think it was with Dr. Amir Khan. I quite like following him on Instagram, and he did a program, and they had three people,
Yeah,
and wanting to do different things and have better attention spans, and they did three different things. and one person had to give up their phone for 24 hours because he was addicted to it. And the difference, he said, was huge. And his attention span, when they ran all the tests, their attention spans had all increased. And the psychologist, I think it was, saying at the time was our attention spans have got so short compared to where we were that we can't develop the
Yeah,
thoughts because we move on, we move on, we move on. And this is just purely my theory, purely a little theory that I have, in that so many adults, and I know there'll be lots of other things involved in terms of the food we eat now and the chemical, imbalances and all of that. But my little theory, not based on anything, but my little theory is so many adults now are being diagnosed with ADHD or on the spectrum or neurodiversity. And I mean, much older adults, that when they look back, when they get the diagnosis, they say, oh, well, I could kind of explain why I was looking out the window at school, or that will kind of explain when they then look back on their life. But they admit that it's got worse. It slipped out with a couple of clients actually. He said, "Now, if I look back, yeah, I was able to hold down a really good job and blah blah blah. Oh, it's definitely got worse in the last 10 to 15 years." Well, when did smartphones and everything come in? And when I heard two people just let
yeah,
it slip out that, oh no, I got the diagnosis. I've obviously always been ADHD. That explains why I couldn't concentrate much at school and why I had like that, this and why. And then they just said, but it's definitely got worse because I will ask him what led you. Well, it's definitely got worse in the last 10 to 15 years. And again, is that because we are
yeah,
flip, 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 flip? That actually, if you have got a predisposition to it, let's put it that way, actually
yeah,
modern
yeah,
life has now made that an awful lot worse. I have no idea. I'm talking out the top of
yeah.
my head, probably,
No, I'm with you on that.
and people say, oh, well, why are
I'm
you
with
getting
you on
diagnosed?
that.
Because there was never that sort of diagnosis when we were at school. But I don't remember that sort of extent. Maybe I was, okay, I went to a grammar school, so maybe a bit different. But it's just interesting when I talk to adults now. And I did ask one because I suddenly thought, oh, hang on a minute. And I said, has it got worse for you as you've got older? Oh, yeah. And so many people, so many, not a big sample, probably half a
Yeah,
dozen, couple who let it out that said, oh, it's got worse over the last, definitely got worse over the last 10 to 15 years. And then a couple that I've asked, oh, has it kind of got worse as you've got, oh, yeah, it's got much worse. And each one, it's been, yeah, probably the last 10 to 15 years. And I
and
think, oh,
and it's going to be hard to pinpoint it in almost on
correct.
one thing because the last 10 or 15 years, Cadbury's became Kraft. American bought those out. And now, I don't know whether I've seen a couple of little videos where they said,
Yeah,
we used to eat this, and they'll give you a
yeah,
chocolate bar and the ingredients 20 years ago. And it was all right for us. And
I
the
know.
ingredients now
That's what
is
I'm
a
saying.
much longer list, 4 times the chemicals and things. So I don't know. I don't know whether we'll be able to pinpoint one thing. One thing, I don't know whether what else we were going to chat about, but one thing I want to say as well is, first of all, I'm using ChatGPT a lot less than I was about 2 months, 2 or 3 months. I feel really good for it. But what I have done is, I wanted to say on here today is, I'm, we came in, it's New Year and people make resolutions and all sorts, but I've turned my week around, Jill. I've turned my week around. I've changed things a bit. I've got a new student from the college, so that's happening. And I've decided Mondays is my gardening day. When I say gardening day, it can be 15 minutes. So rather
Hmm.
than bogging myself down with, I'm doing a full day on
Hmm.
a Monday, because that's like saying I'm
Yeah.
going to go to the gym and I'm going to have a six pack in 12 weeks. Not going to happen. So I've said to myself, 15 minutes in the garden Monday,
Yep.
whatever time I feel like it, doesn't
Yep.
matter. Just going to do 15 minutes. 3 hours I was out there on Monday, 3 hours, and I filled another 2 or 3 bags of with ivy that's growing over the treehouse at the top of the garden, and I dug some bamboo out, and I did some other bits, and I did some of my briquettes. I made 7 briquettes out of the mix I'd got in the garden, which is a coffee and sawdust, but I'm mixing uh, kitchen waste in with it as well. So I'm trying to, well, I'm trying. I'm giving myself what it is I can't find anybody to do yoga when it suits me
Right.
now, which would be a Monday morning or Monday afternoon, because I want to start my week. And I think what it is I don't want to get start Monday working now. I want to start and say, oh, I'll do
Mm-hmm.
that got the bit on the
Mm-hmm.
weekend. I'll do that the weekend and put it off to
Mm-hmm.
6 or 7 days later. I want Monday to be my get out in the fresh air, get on with some garden, move the garden and things forward so that that moves and feel good. And that sets me up for the week rather than having a yoga session
Yeah.
to go to because I can't find
No, I think that's
anybody
good. And
locally on a
also,
Monday morning.
again, it's cropped up with a couple of people this in the last couple of weeks. People have forgotten the basics that they used to do. So they're, yes, I must go out
Yeah,
for a walk. Oh, well, and in their head, a bit like you're saying, I've got to go out for a walk for an hour. And I've just said, no, just do what I do. Because they say, well, I love watching you, Jill, because I said, well, I just pop out in the garden for 10 minutes. I go out and feed the birds in the morning. I like to start my day, if I can, slowly. So I get up, I'm on my own, usually for a couple of hours before Clive gets
yes,
up. And then I will, it gets lighter. I go and feed the birds. I'll stand in the garden and listen to the birds. That's where the camera has now come in
yeah,
that I want to take photographs of them. And talking to a oh yeah, I could do that because it's this, well, I can't do it, I can't do it. Oh no, that's how I used to start my days, a lot slower, and let the light wake you up. We are getting lighter mornings. Oh
yeah,
yeah, I forgot I used to do
yeah,
that. And when you say this, oh well, I
yeah,
used to do this. Oh well, actually, I've given up the 10 minutes of sitting doing nothing I used to do every day and make sure I did nothing. So it's amazing when you just go back to
yeah,
those little bits, and it's exactly that's why I was smiling when you were saying, "Well, I'm just going to do 15 minutes of the garden," because with this one client, we had said, "Just go out in the garden with a cup of tea in the morning, smell the fresh air, look at the birds, have a wander around your garden." And he said, "Yeah, I could do that. Or I could do that when I want, having a cup of coffee." And yeah, absolutely, go and sit on your, they've got a big swing, or go and sit on a bench outside. And then one of my clients emailed me back and said that 10 minutes, Jill, turned into an hour and a half and quite physical exercise.
yeah.
That's it. Just change
That's
your
what we need.
routine, look for your little
Yeah,
habits. They don't have to be hours. It can be 10 minutes that can make a huge difference. So that's great to hear that you've changed your routine and you're moving it around. I mean,
it feels really good. So yeah, so I'm doing my
mhm,
videos on a Friday night. So I've got a video to edit today.
yeah,
Today I've got a bit of time today to do it. It'll come out tonight, and I'm freeing up my
yes,
weekend then because I was getting stressed during my weekend
yeah,
to get a video out for Sunday night. So now it feels more like a job, but I'm going to say it sort of
yeah,
semi-retired sort of job where Monday morning
yeah,
is a bit of garden time. That's it. I'm not going to call it anything other than garden time.
perfect.
If I do a bit on the, it's whatever you feel when you get out there. It's whatever you feel like.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
I'll
move
just
that
move
pot
this.
or
I'll
I'll
just move that
do,
because
yeah.
exactly those turn into
Well, yeah, you
a
don't need to
couple of
tell
hours
you don't need to
sometimes.
tell Clive. I'm just popping out for a minute. I might be popping out to feed the birds, and then I notice something. And then that means I go to that bit of the garden. And then I'll
Yeah,
just think, oh, those teasels need picking. So then I go over there. I am that classic gardener, as Clive says, yeah, yeah, see you in 3 hours then. The same sort of thing. I'm
yeah,
just popping in the
yeah,
workshop. I just want to do a little bit of painting. Yep, see you in an hour and a half, or I'll come and get you. And that's, I think, again, where we've forgotten how to concentrate and the anxiety builds up. People
yeah,
are, in some ways, have got too much time in some areas, so they can overthink everything.
yeah.
But switch your routines around. As you say, I don't make, you know, um, New Year's resolutions. Well, there we go. We're
There you
approaching a
go.
weekend anyway, Jamie, and we've done it. That's it. From AI to a very short bit about changing routines. As I say, I'm not entirely anti-AI. I'm just very worried about what AI is doing
Yeah,
to us and what it's showing younger kids, who will not know. If I can't tell the difference and they're looking at something on a smartphone, dare I say something that, they shouldn't be looking at, porn or whatever, how do they know what's real? How do they know what isn't? So, really, really
yeah.
interesting. Anyway, you have a good couple of weeks. That's it. Thank you very much to our listeners, as usual. Please subscribe, comment, tick notifications. I don't know, whatever it is you have to do. Always appreciated. I do also put it on my YouTube channel, but it is only audio. If you're a YouTuber type person, then you can find it on my YouTube channel. If not, it's on the other channels, main things as well. But thank you very much. And well, we're at the end of January. Here comes February.
Oh,
Jamie,
ooh,
you have a good couple
yeah,
of weeks. I'll speak to you in Feb.
yeah.
Bye. Take
Bye,
care,
Jill.
everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
Alex.